Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Thecomiccompodcast, Season 2, Episode 34. Recording this on the 1st of September. Welcome to September. We are finally getting down into the nitty-gritty post-summer, getting ready for the true postseason cons. You know, we're going to do New York Comic-Con, Baltimore Comic-Con, and whatever else spins our boat this month. But first and foremost, of course, you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, and, of course, YouTube. But one of your hosts today is not here. But, of course, I am here, Nemesis Prime, Justin. And I feel like, you know what I got to do? I need to have, like, a days with no accidents. You know, there's those signs that say days of no accidents. I need this days without Zach, because Zach was going real strong for quite a long time, and then all of a sudden he decides to bail out on me. So I have to do this show alone, and I really don't want to do this show alone. But you know, I thought we got past all the Canadian people last month. We had a great month. We had Comic Ozzy. We had Wesley's comic collection. We had our buddy Black Crown Comics, and I really thought I was done, but then all of a sudden they throw you back in. And who decided to show up last minute? My man Newbie Comics. What's up, Joe?
What is up? I think this is my 5th appearance, so I'm kind of catching on Gabe's all-time record. But what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. So yeah, there's this like long history now of like whenever Zach or myself can't make it, we decide to, you know, who can we find that wants to be, you know, a guest to help us out, because we don't like doing it by ourselves. And of course, the running gag is that Newbie and Gabe's Love 90s Comics has this running thing of who can be on here the most. Now, of course, we're recording this at the same time as Lords of the Long Box Shaker show, so I was planning to have both Gabe and Newbie kind of just do this by themselves. But of course, Gabe's over there. So yeah, I had to grab Newbie. So, but man, dude, it's so glad to have you on the show this week. Of course, we definitely want to get into a lot of things. Definitely want to talk about Toronto Fan Expo, because you know, for anybody who was out there or couldn't make it, you know, you could kind of go and explain it. But before we do that, of course, we love getting into our community message, and we have 2 community messages this week. Our first one is actually a voicemail from Gabe's Loves 90s Comics. So let's go ahead and play this one. And then we're going to get right into answering it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yo, Zach and Justin. Hey, this is Gabe. Gabe Loves 90s Comics with a comic book question for you guys. White pages versus not white pages. You know, off-white, cream, whatever the case might be. Do you guys, is there actually any kind of real value of white pages over not white pages? Because I always see eBay listings, whatnot sells, anybody who sells really seem to want to hype up and pinch their nipples over white pages. Even modern books, like modern books being white pages is something amazing or rare or anything of the sorts like that, which is ridiculous. But even like Bronze Age, Silver Age books, there's no census that really tracks those kinds of sales. So I wonder, is there a premium for that? Do you guys pay more for white pages? Do you charge more when you do sales for white pages? What's your opinion?
So that is a pretty damn great question, and I love the community questions. Gabe, thank you so much. Make sure you guys follow Gabe Loves 90s Comics, of course, here on the Instagram, and also he's also on YouTube as well. Newbie, do you want to take this one first? You want me to?
Yeah, man. You know what? I'll take it first. First of all, yeah, big shout outs to Gabe for that great question. I mean, obviously with moderns, right? I mean, they better be white pages, especially if they're coming off the shelf. But when it comes down to, like, say, you know, I'm just looking behind me, some of the books I have, like the ones that I really want in my collection, I don't really care if they're like white pages, right? Because like the excitement of just having the book in my collection, you know, like if you had like a 3.5 and obviously they were creamy, you know, I'd rather that than like a 0.5 where it's like, man, is like the book just like getting destroyed and mold and it's, you know what I mean? Like I kind of take that over, that takes the precedent over if it's white pages, right? I more so go for like a nice cover, nice back, and then, you know, go like that. But I don't know. I haven't really looked at it that much. And I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. When you want a book, I mean, are you really looking at that? Like like Gabe said in his question, right? eBay listings always have it. I kind of overlook it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I think unless the pages say brittle is the only way I typically stay. And I have one book. I was like, it's a flash book. It's like an old flash book. I think it's 105 or 106, and it literally says brittle pages. But yeah, and then as far as like the condition and when the year was, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't ever put white pages. I just put the name of the book, the grade, and typically, obviously first appearance or origin story or whatever it is. Like, I think the oldest book in my collection that I can think of off the top of my head that actually has white pages is my second appearance of Riddler in like
Cool.
Detective Comics. It's like 1940 or early 1950 book, and it has white pages. Now, a lot of people I've seen on Instagram, they say like snow white pages. They'll say that. For me, I don't really care. I've never seen anybody, especially selling on Whatnot. I've never been on a Whatnot auction where someone had a graded book and they said like white pages or cream pages. I agree
No.
with you. The same thing. Like, to have the book is to have the book, right? Cover, bright colors, back cover as long as it's there. I think always presentation
Yeah, big
takes
time.
precedence over the pages. Like, I don't care if it's like a 2.0 or a 2.5 of a book, but man, if there's like, if the cover has bright colors and you get a copy that has bright colors, I couldn't care less if it said cream or off white to cream
Yeah.
or
Now
creamy. I don't know.
let's be honest though, because I know a few people that are like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not taking anything away from us because I mean, we've talked about our collections and the books we go after and things like that. So, hopefully you don't get offended. But like, I do know one guy in particular, a big, big, big baller guy who's got money. Who it doesn't matter. Like, if you tell him, "Hey, Tales of Suspense is the hottest book," he'll go tomorrow and buy 2 of them. Right? For those people, it kind of changes, right? Because you want the
Hmm.
best of the best of the best. But I mean, I don't know. To me, it's like you said, presentation. I just want the book, man. I'm excited. I'm always excited. I'm not, I've never been like, man, I can't believe I got this book in white pages. Woo, like I'm always like, man, I got first appearance of Black Panther, and then that
Yeah.
just kind of takes the excitement. So that's just kind
Yeah.
of where I'm at.
I hear you too. There's definitely people that are snobs, like
Yeah.
white page snobs. That's what you call them,
Oh,
basically.
100%.
It's, they have to be, no matter what the grade is or no matter what the year is. Like, I will not take this. Like, it's the difference between getting like a Secret Wars 8 9.8 white pages or off white to white pages or off white
Is
pages.
it
Like,
9.8? It doesn't matter. I'll take
yeah,
it.
like, I don't think that really matters because, like Gabe said, there is no way to track it. The census is it's a 9.8. So if there's 1,000 copies in 9.8, it may even have off-white pages. It may have
Yeah.
cream pages. It may hit that cusp of, just because it's a little creamy, it's
You,
still a high grade book. Like, who
you know the
cares?
the problem that I find that you sometimes get into when you have this conversation though is you get one side being like, well, you're not a true collector. You're not in it for the love. You're in it because let's be honest, right? There's a lot of people that like are totally against grading in the first place, right? And when you start talking and you get into like dissecting everything, and you're like, oh my god, you're really not going to get this 9.8 because it's not white pages or whatever.
Hmm.
Then people start throwing stones and things like that. So I don't know. I guess that old saying, right? Collect what you want, but I don't know. I don't care for white pages, to be honest, man. I really don't. And if it's cheaper, even better.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like, it's at the end of the day, like, the book is the book,
Yeah.
and I think trying to upsell it is even worse. On the
Mhm.
seller side, it's
Oh,
definitely the
huge,
worst.
man. Huge.
So, great question, Gabe. Absolutely love that one. And again, if you want to send us questions, you can always send us direct messages to either my Instagram, Zach's Instagram, or the Comic Con Podcast on Instagram, or to the Comic Con Podcast at gmail.com, either voicemails, articles, questions, comments on anything that we talk about. We'll even listen to your replies and responses. But our next question, and I was actually just having this kind of conversation yesterday with one of my buddies, and you know, he he has a full-time job, full-time career, just like myself. I'm, just like, Joel here. And he goes, he's like, would you quit your current job and sell comics full time? And there are a lot of people out there, and let's first take this, not to knock on anybody who sells comics full time, anybody who quit their job to do that. But I was quick to say no. The
Mhm.
reason why I said no is because first of all, I love my job. I have a career, like I love it, but I love the thrill of the hunt. Like
Yeah.
that is the one thing that I would love, that I feel like if I did comics full time, I would you lose that. Like if you sold comics full time, let's say you had a shop, you're constantly buying collections, you're always seeing books, you're seeing the same books over and over. Like it doesn't give you that thrill. You're just like, "Oh, look, another Secret Wars 8. Oh, look, another, ASM 252." Or
White pages?
it's yeah, white pages like, "Hey, look, I got the Batman New 52 like 100 times," or like,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like I love going out to a shop, a show, a flea market, whatever it is, and like digging through long boxes. Like dusting my hands, feeling dirty, like after I look through all these boxes, being like, man, I need some Purell after that. So I just can't. I would never want to sell my, or I would never want to quit my job and do comics full time because this is just a hobby to me. But again, more power to the people that, you know, basically whether it's eBay, whatnot, opening up a store. If your job is like shitty, it sucks, you hate it, you want a different change, man, more power to you. If you want to quit your job and do YouTube full time, sure, I guess. But
Good luck.
the way things are changing, it is what it is. But newbie, what do you think? Would you quit your current job right now to sell comics full time? As great as you are at the hunt, what would you say?
Well, man, I'm put in a difficult situation because like I just got offered a really great job, a really dream job, if you will. So I probably wouldn't. But here's the thing, man. I think the easy answer, and maybe some people won't say it, is maybe I'm just chicken shit. And hear me out. I don't make my next move based on tomorrow. I make my next move based on like chess, right? Like when you make a move in chess, you're not making a move for the next move. You made your move for the next five, right? And take that for what you will. But I just look at it from a grand perspective. And I talk to older collectors just like you do, right? Like we,
Hmm.
different ages. You talk to younger people, they collect different, they view it different. You talk to older people, they view it different, they collect different, even still, right? I look at the 90s. I look at what happened in the 90s. I look at what happened after. I look at pre-COVID. I look at COVID, those 2 years of COVID, where, if you ask a lot of people, it's like, that's where I got my thrill in comics again, or that's why I'm on YouTube,
Hmm.
or that's why I'm this and that. And then I look now where like you see like even in YouTube alone, and maybe even some Instagram accounts where they're gone or they're not as active, and it's because like people are going back to work. So it just kind of scares me where we are as like a market and like as a world. So like I don't know. There's also up and downs when you do sell, right? So like you could have a great January, but is August going to be great? Because I'll tell you personally, my August was terrible for sales, like terrible.
Hmm.
You look at it, my January, if I had those numbers every month, I'd quit in a heartbeat. So you just kind of have to look at it like that. But like anything, right? Anything to be successful, you have to do it all the time, practice, day in, day out. There is no off day. So, you have to be on top of your game. You have to be, what's the hottest book? What's cover price? What's so I don't know, man. I like the thrill. I like going into a shop and, kind of like you said, I don't know if I'd want to see the same books over and over again. Shout out to all the comic, shops and everything like that. I'm not hating on it. It's just I like the hunt. I like, hey, you know what? On my day off or my lunch break or this, I want to go to this antique. Like it just
Hmm.
it's full circle, man. Cause you think about what you could possibly find, then you find it. For me, it was always the hunt, grading something, flipping it, putting back into the hobby, buying something else, and then that's where I get my thrill, man. And again, like you said, it's a hobby too, right? So it should be fun. It shouldn't have like,
Shouldn't make you stressed out.
exactly, right? And to this day, comics still make me, very excited and happy. So, yeah, I don't know. I like where things are. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like if you constantly are in the world, you get to that level where you may start off and you're seeing those, modern books, those Bronze Age, Copper
Mhm.
Age books all the time. And then, yeah, you could become a big time seller. And then you're seeing that Silver Age and Golden Age stuff. And then you really see that Golden Age stuff. And it
Yeah.
really gets you. But it's just like, I feel like if you've seen like one, two, three, four, five Action Comics, it's It kind of like it loses its luster, right? Like I'm like, all right, well, for me, it's just like, holy shit. Like I would, I've held like a Detective Comics 27. And if I held one again, it would probably be like another 4 or 5 years before I actually held it. But if you're someone in that space where you're constantly seeing these huge books, it's just kind of like it's just like a drop in the bucket, right?
It's always interesting because like I kind of relate it to when you're thinking about buying a car. You're like, man, I really want to go buy this car, and you maybe see one on the street, and then you buy the car, and that first week it seems like everybody's just driving the same car, and you're like, man, what the hell? What am I doing? Like everyone has the same
Yeah, you're
car,
looking
right?
for it. You're looking at it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things, man.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that was another great question, and I really wanted to bring it to the attention because I'm sure everyone's kind of thought about it. For our listeners, it's definitely something that you think about. Like, I was crushing it on Whatnot, crushing it on eBay, and then like, yeah, you have like a bad month or two, and it's just like, did you save any money? Did you
Yeah.
prepare for the slowdown? Because yeah, the market can just flip. Like, we know from going to shows, whether it's Terrificon, Toronto Fan Expo, you see, and even local shows here, like you look at books and people have these books that are priced outrageous, and it's because they bought them at the height thinking that they were going to go higher. So now they don't even want to decide to like sell it for less than they bought it for because they're like, oh no, it'll go back up. I don't know. Like,
Every
there's no
character's coming back.
guarantee.
Every book is going up. Yeah, that's what everybody says, right?
Yeah. So, but great questions this week from our community. I appreciate them. And again, like I said, send us either DMs directly to our Instagrams or to the Gmail account. Moving on, Newbie, you were just at Toronto Fan Expo. It is a 4-day show, which is crazy because even here in the States, there's only, off the top of my knowledge, I think there's only like 3 or 4 conventions that are 4 days. And, San Diego, New York, I want to say Emerald City is also 4 days, but everything else is always 3 days. So for you guys, I mean, this has got to be like the show of shows in Canada, right? Tell me, is it like, tell us all about it, for anybody who's never been there, and what was this year all about?
Oh man, I'm probably gonna break some hearts here. Okay, hear me out. Please hear me out. We were talking about like possibly, you flying up here and this and that, but it didn't work. I'm actually happy that you didn't come, and not because I didn't want to see you. It's not because I didn't want to see you. 100% no, man. And nothing against Fan Expo itself. It's just, let's just say there was like 200 vendors, maybe like 9 or 11 of them were comics. You know what I mean? So like, that's the thing. Like you literally could have went one day. I think what made it stand out this time was the fact that Whatnot was there. Whatnot was sponsoring it, I believe, from my knowledge, because they had all the signs and stuff like that. They had everybody had like a yellow bag and stuff. But it's not a comic thing. And my fellow Canadians or people that have been there could maybe argue it. I mean, I've been going there for a long time. It doesn't change. It's the same kind of players, if you will, but it's more Fan Expo. Like that's what it is. There's swords, there's manga, there's art, there's Funko, there's cosplay, there's this, that, there's more of that than there is
Celebrities,
comic.
right?
Yeah, right. The
Like,
celebrities, like all that. So I never really expect too much there. Like I said, I enjoy my time. The books that I wanted were there. I got to meet some people, got to see, some vendors that I have relationships with. So it was kind of cool to like hang out. You know what I mean? But as for comics, I honestly, dude, would have felt so bad if you came. And it's not because I don't want to see you. It's just I think you would have been like, "Noob, what the fuck?" Right?
I've been like, let's leave. Show me a comic shop. Like, let's go to a comic shop.
Let's go. Right. So that's kind of the problem there. And a lot of them, a lot of the vendors too were also people that I just go to regularly. So like,
yeah,
they're obviously already going to have their prices up where it's like, man, I could literally just take you the next week and we can get it for like, 20% cheaper. Prices. I mean, if you watch my video that I dropped and my purchases, I was shocked. I only went the Friday. And I was shocked that I was able to wheel and deal because, I mean, if you've been to a con, Sunday is the day. Friday, they usually give you the, oh no, it'll sell for sure on Saturday. And things are usually still there. So yeah. I mean, you want to get to the meat and potatoes?
Well, I guess, and I get, yeah, we're going to get there too. We're going to get there. But I guess, and what's, like you said, like Fan Expo it's for fans, and it's an expo. It's not really a comic convention. Like, it's not called like Baltimore Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. Like, and that's what I hear a lot regarding these fan expos. Like, they're kind of like the older Wizard Worlds, but even the Wizard Worlds were comics. But they still had a lot of celebrities, voice actors, actresses, whatever you say. Like, I know recently they had the one in Dallas. They had Fan Expo in Philly, and I was going to go to it, and it's not that far. But I talked to my buddy who lives in New York. He drove down there. He goes, "Man, dude, that was terrible."
Yeah.
And you're just like, glad I didn't go, because it's like, then you're saving the money on the drive, the back and forth, the food, the show itself. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes here in New Jersey this past weekend, they had this thing called Collectors Con, and they promoted it as comics, toys, cards, everything. And it was at this big convention center that I've been to, so I knew the size of it. And there were probably like there was probably about 100 vendors, and there was probably less than 10% were comics.
Yeah.
So I literally spent $10 to get in, like early bird. And for the most part, I had only spent $10 on a few books. And then finally, this one vendor, he like put out all his stuff, and he was open. And then I spent like $100 from him because he had some great stuff. But there really was a lot more cards, Funkos, like everything else that really wasn't for me. Like, if I was on the flip side of that, I would have had a blast and probably spent like hundreds of dollars. But that's what it is. So for you, Fan Expo, like, that's your big, kind of like your baby, but it doesn't sound like it was your baby.
No, and it definitely wasn't, man. And I think I told you at Terrificon too, right? At least at Terrificon, I knew what the people were dressed as. At this, I was like, I don't know what these people are dressed as. And it was annoying because you would go through boxes, or you're looking, and like people are just hitting you because they have swords. It's like, why do these kids all want to buy these swords? Like, I don't get it. Like, there was this one little girl, she must have been maybe like 13 with her dad. She had like 3 swords. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why do you need 3 swords? Like, and why are you letting your little girl carry all 3 of them? You know what I mean? So yeah, God. I don't know. I'm thankful and appreciative. Fan Expo gave me a media pass. They're really good people. They really put on a good show. Nothing against them. It's just me wanting to see comics, buy comics, kind of live it. And especially ever since going to Terrificon, I think that's where the bar is set for me, where I'm like, oh, I'm expecting every show to just be like Terrificon, and they're not. So like, that's why I'm like, so it is what it is. But it's like hunts, man. There's some really good ones, and then there's some really crappy ones, right?
No. Yeah, there's days where you're killing it, and you hit 1 or 2 stores that are really good, and then you hit that 3rd and 4th and 5th shop, and there's nothing, and you're like, damn, I should have stopped at like that 2nd store. But again, there's of course some drama that came out of Toronto Fan Expo. You're obviously man on the street over there. So I guess did you see anything that was going on? Obviously, there was a big variant that came out that was sold out. Obviously, you were there. Would you say Friday, right?
Friday. Yeah. So the big thing was, I had a buddy who actually was working the event. Ran into him, said hey, and then he actually had sent me stuff on text. He's like, hey man, just so you know, if you want any exclusive, I can get you 20% off because I work here. I can just pick it up after, man. Just let me know. I was like, oh, sweet. That was like 5 minutes into me being there. So I hadn't even like figured out what was going on, nothing. And then I found out what was going on in the foil, and I was like, oh shoot, that's a cool book. Thinking, hey man, it's Friday, probably not sold out. And then he basically told me, yeah, certain people basically took it all. I was talking to 2 vendors who are usually at all the smaller shows and stuff like that. I have a really good rapport with them. They were going off, and they said names, they said associations, they said a group of people. And I said, hey, do you mind if I record you saying that? And they go, no, Noob, come on, man. Like, I don't want my reputation. And I go, absolutely. I totally get it. I just thought I'd ask. I don't even have to put your face there. And they were just like, no, because like they have these voices that you would know, right? Like you would know right off the bat. You'd be like, oh, that's Robert Downey Jr., right? Like you would just know, you know what I mean? So they were like, "No, please don't." And I was like, no, I totally respect it. But it was there. And as the show went on and as the hours went on, and then more people, and then you talk to more vendors, the same thing was happening. And then when my buddy messaged me, I was like, "Hey man, I just heard this. Like, is this true?" And they kind of confirmed it. So I don't know. There was a certain print run. They were saying that it wasn't one per until after. There was somebody on Thursday who bought it and then was selling it on their whatnot. And they just had a bunch of them. And then the next day, I can't confirm like on the weekend though, like Saturday and Sunday, it was like from my buddy who worked there. Who said that dealers, certain comic shops bought it. So,
but that's still crazy. So like, for me, like not being there, obviously I can only speak on it so much and kind of, ask you a little bit, but like you said, if Fan Expo wasn't really like a big thing and you were there on the second day, and we all know this, like going to a convention, like even New York Comic Con is Thursday through Sunday. Like Thursday is kind of like a half day. It's also not a busy day because people are still at work. Even like Friday, people are still at work. The con doesn't really get started until the weekend, if not till like late Friday. Yeah. So the fact that like all the copies were gone on Thursday just kind of is like a little weird, right? It's a little strange that all of a sudden, like for the first time ever, like a Fan Expo exclusive is sold out, because I've bought Fan Expo exclusives, whether they're Toronto and, over the past years, and they still have their own exclusives still on like their website from like years ago. Like you could buy a Secret Wars one, I remember there was like an ASM one that they did as well. But all of a sudden, like this year, it's just really strange because there's a new selling platform app. Like it's just odd. And again, nothing against whatnot, but it's just all of a sudden like everybody decides to just like pick and choose and buy everything up and like try to like sell it immediately when day one.
Yeah,
I just don't get it.
It's become a club. Like I don't have anything against whatnot. I've used it a few times. Not as frequent, obviously. But yeah,
you have a whatnot account?
Yeah, man. Yeah. But like it just has become this like boys club, if you will. You know what I mean? And I know it's 2020. I shouldn't say boys, but it's like just become a certain club now. And I kind of noticed it. I'm one of those people. I like to, I don't need to be on a pedestal. I don't need to know people that I'm there. Like when I go to shows, I'm not like, hey, it's Newbie. I'm like, hey, it's Joel. Hey, what's going on? Like people usually ask me. I'm not the one being like, hey, I'm Newbie. Back off, right?
Yeah. Step back, everyone.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm here to dig through these boxes.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I'm a fan. I love the comics. I love the hunt, right? And a lot of people always ask me, and I got it like a lot of people ask me when Terrificon happened. They're like, man, you don't have like footage. I go, guys, I was meeting so many people. I had goosebumps just talking to certain people, hanging out, drinking, like seeing so many comics. Like I was just a kid in a candy store, and that's what it is for me, right? Like this is my hobby. Yes, do I have YouTube and all that? That's great, but like when it comes down to it, I kind of just don't view it as a business first. Like I view it as like entertainment and a hobby. I like being in the atmosphere, right? And I don't know, man. Whatnot has changed the game, obviously, but there are certain people and certain figures that kind of do things right. Obviously Dallas, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, because
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was.
2-3 weeks ago, and then the Boston thing, everybody kind of had a close eye. I think maybe because this one was in Toronto and in Canada, certain people didn't come. Maybe they thought, oh, we'll get away with it. But no, I mean, we're not stupid up here too, right? And some of the stuff that I was taking offense to was some of these people being like, oh, we're going to take over Toronto's night. It's like, hey, listen, we're not in New York. We're not in LA, but like Toronto's, it's got good people, and it's, the city will eat you alive too. Just like anywhere. Right. So, you just gotta be careful, but yeah, I don't know, man. I felt, and again, even though Toronto is like 30 minutes, 35 minutes away from me and it's not my backyard, it is my backyard when it comes to like these things, right? Because it's like the big one in it. So I don't know. It's like it's like when you have a house and you invite people over, right? Like you have certain rules, and like I don't know. It was a fiasco.
That's fine. I hear you, but yeah, you're right. Regarding like even real quick, regarding Terrificon, here on the podcast, we did absolutely nothing. We
Yeah.
just because we had a blast, like with everybody, and that just shows that we want to be part of the community and not do interviews. I mean, as much as like I wanted to get interviews and like talk to the artists, talk to the writers, get footage, like it just didn't happen because we had so much fun hanging out on the convention floor, digging in long boxes, like saying, "Hey, guess what? This guy's got these books. Why don't you go check them out?" And you're just bullshitting with people, and you just didn't do it. So, what Terrificon's all about. So for the people that are listening who didn't come to Terrificon, tell
What are you
people,
waiting
man.
for?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Literally,
2023 it's
that
right around the
con has
corner.
ruined me. That con has ruined me for other cons, man. I kid you not. I literally the first thing I said, I'm like, this isn't like Terrificon.
Yeah,
My buddy's like, dude, just stop.
yeah. I mean, for New York, like I'm already dreading going to New York, but like it's New York. That's like my backyard show because
Yeah.
New Jersey doesn't have like a giant show. So like we have these 1-day shows, 2-day shows, but like, yeah, New York Comic Con's like my backyard show. So I'm excited for that. That's about a little over a month away. So I'm
Hey,
excited to be there.
I sent you that info about Hamilton Comic Con. If you're interested, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's some interesting people there. So, but we'll see. But let's get out of the community section for today, and let's kind of move on to some comic book news. So, of course, let's talk about the big one. This one is kind of hidden under the radar. This is some movie news going out there. So this is over at geekocitymag.com. Henry Cavil will appear as Superman in various projects. So this was posted today, written by Edwin Francisco. It says that Henry Cavill will appear as Superman in several projects going forward. A YouTube personality provided the information. He also scooped that Henry Cavill was in California in June for a suit fitting. It is possible that Henry Cavill signed the contract at the same time. According to the YouTuber Syed Abdel, Cavill wants in 100%, not just for cameos, but also for team-ups and solo films. So we, of course, know Warner Brothers Discovery has kind of scrapped all its current stuff. Of course, the Batgirl and everything else that's around it. Where they're moving dates. They moved the dates for Flash, for Shazam, for Aquaman now. Could we see a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill coming back? Newbie, what do you think?
Oh, big time. Look, I'm not the biggest DC fan, and I'm not going to pretend to be now, but this is exciting news. Huge. I also recently came across an article, and I posted it on my Instagram, but Dwayne Johnson, The Rock coming to play Mr. Black Adam. I think it comes out in October at some point, but he actually came out and said that he actually was able to convince Henry to come back and do some stuff. So apparently he's also showing up there, but it would not surprise me. DC Discovery now with new owners and new people with fresh eyes, see what they have. Henry is definitely somebody that they need to keep. The Rock is somebody that they obviously need to keep. If you like him or not, if you look at the numbers, Forbes, he is the highest paid actor for a reason. He's making the most money. He's everywhere. That'll maybe change, but for right now, he is the biggest name in Hollywood. So you want to keep those two things going. I also don't think that they want to kind of reboot or kind of have another Superman as they go into this phase. I think that they could kind of do this with Henry as the face of it. So yeah, man, I'm actually looking forward to this. And that's not something that I would say every day when it relates to Superman or DC.
Yeah, I know you're not that much of a DC guy. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. Man of Steel is still one of my all-time favorite movies. It really just humanized Superman. It was, something that's relatable because, Superman is a god, basically.
Mhm.
He's like unstoppable in the DC world. And, for him to come out with a movie and Zack Snyder just crushed it, and there's a lot of hate on, Batman versus Superman, but that extended cut really, completely, tore it apart, broke it down, and like really gave you a lot better film. And then again, same thing, the Justice League, still, Henry Cavill came back and, for the scenes that he was in Zack's cut, badass. He is Superman for our generation. Like
Yep.
it's, I really thought that Brendan Roth would have been great, but that movie didn't do too well, so obviously they recast. But maybe now, if Henry Cavill comes back, stays for a while, maybe you get Gal Gadot to kind of stay on longer, because I know from what we've kind of heard is that she's going to be in Shazam
Yeah.
cameo.
Yeah.
So, maybe she'll stick around a lot longer instead of just maybe one more Wonder Woman movie to do more team ups. You never know. And I think, The Rock is kind of like cementing himself in the DC universe.
I think something that's not really talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like when we have this fascination with like DC obviously follows what Marvel does. Well, if you look at it, right, Marvel, for the most part, other than Hulk, everybody has been the same character. We haven't had reboots. Unfortunately, who knows what they'll do with Black Panther, but that's like a one-off, right? I mean, like who could have predicted that? When you look at DC, I mean, let's look at how many Batmans we've had. Look how many Supermans we've had, right? So maybe they want some, continuity. And they want to start it fresh. So why not start it with Henry? And then if you want to go with Affleck or whoever. But I think they got a really good thing. Here's the thing that intrigues me about this article is the fact that he 100% wants to be in cameos, long-term, this, that, when all of a sudden in the last, 6 months, there's been so many rumors of him possibly playing Captain Britain, Wonder Man, all these characters. Somebody had said that he might, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
did he play that, or did maybe DC look at it like, oh shoot, like, you break up with someone and then they become more attractive when somebody else wants them or something, that old thing. It's kind of like one of those, I think, right? Where he was doing all this. Marvel really wanted him for multiple things. They could have handpicked. He could have handpicked rather. And then maybe DC was like, well, wait a minute. I mean, he wants to play Superman. Our fans want him to be Superman. Why don't we just do it? Right. So maybe that's kind of what happened. But it is interesting, the timing, because I think last week it was noted that he was, talking to
possibly
Marvel
in Loki
once
too.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to be in Loki season 2. And I feel like you're right. Like you look at the Marvel movies and you look at DC, and let's look at it. Like, who's really the go-to person for Marvel to step up and say, Henry, you should join the MCU? There's nobody. Like, it's not like Robert Downey Jr. was the guy, but he's gone. So who are you really going to, or who's really coming to you and saying, you need to sign with us, you need to be a character? Like, there's not really like that main character anymore. Like, now we're bringing in all these newbies, and exactly. All these younger characters that are, is really Anthony Mackie really walking up to Henry Cavill saying, hey, come aboard, or Tom Hiddleston? I don't really think so. Like, I think they know, like, Dwayne, like, all right, he's somebody. Yeah, I think he's, and if he's so confident with his movie and what's going to happen and what he wants to do, like, I don't think they're going to mess around. So
and you know what the other thing is, I've talked about it on my channel and on Instagram and with people. Today it was proven. I was talking to two females, and somebody had said, hey, do you know the trailer for Black Adam? And I go, yeah, with Dwayne Johnson. These two females go, Dwayne Johnson? Oh, what is it about? I'm like, oh, it's a superhero movie. There, I don't care. If he's in it, I'm going to go see it. So that movie is going to do so well. The numbers are just going to be ridiculous, because you're literally going to have females or people who don't know anything about comics just go because it's him. So that's what they need. That's what they're going to get. Look at Aquaman, the success. They're doing it again. They're getting a big star. They're getting somebody that the ladies will go see regardless of what the movie is. The numbers are going to be crazy. This is going to be a success.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope he comes back. So slipping out of the world of TV and film, let's get on to some comic book news. And this one is a pretty interesting one. This is over at comicbook.com. And this was actually just posted today as well on September the 1st. So Boom Studios reveals first look at dark fantasy Sleeping Beauty series Briar. Something that I kind of saw some exclusive variants being sold by some online retailers, and I just didn't know like what the story was about. But after reading this article, I'm really intrigued. So Boom Studios is set to deliver a twist on the classic story of Sleeping Beauty with Briar, and comicbook.com got their first little preview. The grim fantasy series is helmed by writer Christopher Cantwell and artist Jermaine Garcia. Of course, it takes Sleeping Beauty, follows the original tale until a major twist changes the course of the kingdom and the character, revealing Sleeping Beauty story unlike you've ever seen. So Briar is coming out at the end of September, on September 28th. Sure, final order cutoff is going to be about a week or two. Newbie, I kind of put you onto this article. What did you think about this? Just kind of seeing the art and reading it.
First of all, we need to stop talking about it because I need the print run to be low. So
Okay.
let's keep
Well,
it.
we
No.
try to give everybody, we try to make sure people check it out so they don't get
no.
screwed, and then the book is, like $15 right out the gate, $20.
I think this is gonna be a success, man. And hear me out. I don't know, maybe you'll laugh. I kind of like these different takes on stuff, like and it goes back to the same story with Angelina Jolie. She played it Magnificent, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm. Maleficent.
Yeah, Maleficent. That movie I thought was pretty dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched it. I really like the twist on that. So maybe they have something here. I love the art. If you have a chance, go check out the article. There are some exclusives, like Justin said, and some of the covers that are coming out. I think there's like 5 of there. Like 4 of them I would definitely buy. I think, I think there's something here, man. And boom, I know everybody's waiting and hoping, oh, what's the next Something is Killing the Children? But I don't know if it'll get there, but I think the read will be good. I think the story, I think the characters, I think the twist, I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to because it's Sleeping Beauty. We all know Sleeping Beauty, right? So I think they have something here that's really good, man.
Yeah, I really like it. So the official description for Briar reads is, what if Sleeping Beauty never got her happily ever after and instead had to save herself, set in a brutal fantasy world that time forgot? This isn't the fairy tale you know. So, like you said, yeah, I've been, like, for me, like, over the past, like, 10 years, like, I've read a lot of the grim fairy tale stuff from, like,
Mhm.
Zenescope, and they've taken those stories and they've twisted them. And it's the same thing, like, more recently, we've had the Alice Ever After, we've had that Never Never, which kind of changed Peter Pan. So, getting these stories that we've known for so long to completely change them is something that's pretty interesting. And Sleeping Beauty is, I think, about 80 years old, if I'm not mistaken,
Something like
Disney.
that.
Yeah. So to finally get a different studio to take this up, I think we're going to see a pretty interesting story. So again, even if it's not the next Something is Killing the Children, if you always wanted something new to read that's not superheroes, we try to bring you different articles. We try to bring you different takes. I'm sure this is definitely going to be up on my honorable mention or, pick of the week once the series comes out when we're talking about what are we currently reading. But yeah, like I said, September 28th is the first issue of Briar. Tons of variants. You got Mirka and Dolfo. You got Jenny Frizen. So I'm sure there's going to be a Virgin and the trade dress.
Yep.
You also got Stephanie Hans, which is another badass cover. So
That's
make
my
sure you check
favorite.
out the article at comicbook.com and make sure you get your local comic shop to pre-order before final order cutoff. So other than that, we of course talk about what are we currently reading. And this week, there is a lot of stuff that came out, a lot of new number ones, a lot of good things. I was actually able to get to my shop a little early this week and pick up some good books. So I only have 2 books because I could literally, there's so many titles I want to talk about this week. But my 2 titles of the week, we got Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, number 4 is my honorable mention. It finally got good. Like, I'm so happy this series finally got to a point where we're in the Clone Wars. We get Anakin, we get Obi-Wan in that time frame because there's not much in the Marvel world that we've seen them fighting during the Clone Wars. You get a little bit stuff in Kanan, and there's a lot of these one shots, but there was a nice, great story here in the Obi-Wan Kenobi issue number 4, and you actually get to see some nice, panels that have them fighting Ventress, which is pretty badass. And then, of course, always the clones. They're always there, so it's awesome. But storyline involves this general who kind of goes AWOL and then lives on this planet, and they kind of they find him, and some pretty interesting stuff happens. And I really don't want to give too much away because I want anybody who hasn't checked out this series, definitely check out issue number 4. But for my pick of the week, Thunderbolts number 1, the new series. We're on, I think this is like the 4th volume for Thunderbolts. And this is pretty interesting stuff. You got Hawkeye, you got Spectrum, you got America Chavez, you got Power Man was in there, and a couple other characters in this. Of course, if you read The Devil's Reign, you all know that Luke Cage is now, the mayor of New York. There's a new Power Man, and the new Thunderbolts are kind of the only ones who are kind of allowed. Like, the Avengers are not allowed in the cities. They're part of the contracted superhero team that's allowed to go out and do and fight bad guys. But they fight some pretty interesting bad guys in this first issue. And, something happens at the end of this issue that I have no idea who the character is or what they're planning. But I gotta say, like, I'm really enjoying this team so far, especially, the Hawkeye and America Chavez thing was pretty badass to put them on there. And then, of course, you get Spectrum in there. So 3 characters that are part of the MCU. Could we see them in the Thunderbolts group? I don't know, because they've kind of already teased who will be in the Thunderbolts movie, but definitely my pick of the week, man. Thunderbolts #1. What about you, newbie? What do you got for your picks of the week, and what are you currently reading?
So currently reading, I'm actually going back to the Ironheart series. Just trying to, what's the saying? Cross your T's, dot your I's, or yeah, that one. Basically doing that, just making sure, with her coming, there's a lot of books that people are still sleeping on. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to connect to, like, say, down the road. So I'm really enjoying it. I could remember why I didn't at first pick it up back in the day, but I'm enjoying the read, man. The pick of the week for me would probably, I'm trying to get back into the Edge of Spider-Verse that just came out, the short 5-series run. We're getting to the point now where, we're introduced to a lot of new characters. A lot of people have kind of spec'd on it. They're still #1s at my shop, which is surprising because, this happens all the time with these Spider-Verse things and people sleep on it. If you cash out, you cash out. If not, whatever. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on it. There's a lot of new characters. You never know down the road. We're getting introduced now to, I believe it's the first disabled superhero in Sun Spider. From the stuff that I've read and, the reviews that I've gotten from other people, I think she's going to be a hit. I know BC has talked very highly of the story, very highly of the characters in it. And he always says, he's like, "Noob, it's Spider-Verse. Just pick it up. Just pick it up." So with that, I kind of listen to him. But yeah, man, I think as society grows and stuff like that, you never know where these characters are going to be, but it's kind of cool seeing a disabled character. It's empowering, to be honest with you. I've got a friend who's in a wheelchair and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool, man. I really dig what they're doing, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it finishes out. It's 5 series or 5 issues. It's just flown by, man. Just like summer, it's just flown by. So near the
I
end
think
here.
that they're on issue 2 already. Like, I feel like the Gwenverse thing ended so fast, and
Yeah,
then, or it took forever for Gwenverse to end, and then all of a sudden they were just like bang bang with like 2 issues already out the gate for Edge of Spider-Verse.
When does Spider-Verse come out? The movie, December, right?
No, not till next year.
Not till next year. Okay, for whatever reason,
they
I thought
haven't
it
had
was
like a full
December.
trailer. Yeah, it
Oh,
got
okay,
pushed back.
okay. Yeah,
I think so. Because we haven't really even gotten like a full trailer for like across the Spider-Verse. So I mean, it's definitely not going to be for. Well, it was supposed to be this year, but right now, yeah, it's got pushed back to next year. I think it's like May or June, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn.
So that's why we haven't gotten a trailer. We would definitely be already pre-ordering it, and or I'd at least be buying my tickets and selling my first Spider-Punks
for like 100,000.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, this is a little bit of a shorter episode, so just want to kind of go over some stuff as well. So this month, if you're in the tri-state area, make sure, and I posted it on my Instagram, King Kong Show, the King Kong Show. This is the 3rd one. You could follow King Kong. We had our buddy Greg MTG Comics on here twice before to talk about it. It is definitely a great one-day show here in New Jersey. It's basically for the community, by the community. A lot of the vendors are all, community-driven people. It's not your normal, comic shops or people that have been longtime vendors. You get a lot of people that are vending for the first time. A lot of people for maybe only the second time because they vended at the first King Kong and then here. Sometimes you get guys who just started up maybe from the 3 Men in a Comic Book Swap, right? 3 Men in a Basement.
There you go.
3 Men in a Basement Comic Book Swap. So then you got them here. So that is Saturday, September 17th at the APA Hotel in Island, New Jersey. And then, of course, another thing I got to give some shout outs to is, of course, I just saw Rogue One last week in theaters. So the IMAX it was amazing. It was just absolutely badass. But this week, they, of course, did release the Spider-Man No Way Home more fun stuff version. And I didn't see it. I know it's like an extra 15 minutes of footage, but I know there is an extra deleted scene that replaces the trailer for Doctor Strange. Now, we could spoil it here on the podcast if you want to know about it, newbie, and everybody else who's listening. And if they want to crash out early, they can crash out.
Yes, spoil.
spoiled. So basically what happens at the end, instead of course, the trailer that we get to see for Doctor Strange, they go back to Betty. What's her face? The girl who dates. What the hell's his name? What's Peter's friend?
Harry.
No.
Flash.
In this.
Oh, Ned.
Yeah. So they flash back to her in school, and she's got pictures, but all the pictures that normally would have Peter in it are like completely gone. So not only do people not know who Peter Parker is, but he's like no longer existent in the world. And so what that kind of explains a little bit more of like what the spell actually did compared to what like Wong and Strange and Peter were kind of talking throughout the movie. Like, so it completely changes it a little bit more. Like, it actually expands on the whole thing of like what's happening in the world of Peter Parker.
That's very interesting, man. I honestly, like, I think that movie was really spoiled, so a lot of people were like, ugh. But I'm excited. Obviously, it's Spider-Man. What happens next? I have a prediction, obviously, going to college and things like that. He's more of the Spider-Man that we all kind of grew up on, I think. I know BC is like digging the new suit that he has and stuff like that. So I think we're going to get like an authentic Spider-Man, like how we all kind of read and grew up with. So I'm excited to see what happens, but I think it's going to be a while before we see him too.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a while before the next Spider-Man or anything. I don't even know like what's going to be. Obviously we got the freshman year. We've talked about that before here on the podcast, but it's not going to be voiced by Tom Holland. So I think we're probably going to get at least like 1 or 2 seasons for that, and then they'll figure out what they're going to do. So, that's it here on the podcast. A little bit of shorter episode. Of course, Zach not here, but again, appreciate my buddy Newbie jumping on here. Continuing with the Canadian invasion into September. So, Newbie, any last words before we get out of here?
Man, appreciate you having me on as always. Too bad Zach couldn't be here, or Gabe. But yeah, man, always a pleasure hanging out. I hope everyone enjoys the episode, and yeah, you guys can catch me on Instagram or YouTube at Newbie Comics.
You're gonna start coming out with some more live shows. It's like you hit 100 on like your 2 shows, and then all of a sudden you just went like, and The Sopranos just like fade to black. Like you were just gone. It's like,
yeah, no. I just took the last 3 weeks of the summer to just kind of hang out and chill. Friends, family, the wife. So yeah, I'll be back. I think I circled September 6th, which is a Tuesday, as my return. Not calling it a comeback. I just needed some evenings off. I just wanted to crack a Corona and just relax. So, but I appreciate everybody who tunes in and is excited for it, man. I love hanging out with everyone and talking shop. So yeah, September 6th, back at it.
Awesome. And now, will you be attending King Kong or New York Comic Con?
Man, I'm trying to go to one of them, but I started a new job, so I don't know what my vacation looks like or whatever. But I got a sweet deal and gig on hotels. I'm just trying to figure out a flight, and if it works out, I will 95% say I'm going to be at one of those shows.
All right, cool. So, of course, for myself, if you're listening to this early enough, I actually will be on, if you're listening to this on Friday, I will be on the home of the NY Warriors. Of course, if you know those guys, Friday night live YouTube auction. I haven't been on a YouTube auction in quite a while.
What are those?
Right? What are those things? So make sure you check out Home of the NY Warriors, 9:30 Eastern time. Going to be Biggie's, myself, I think Keep It Thorough, Joker M21, and whoever else they asked me to be on there. So, of course, I'll be bringing tons of stuff, probably tons of slabs because I really don't have too much raw stuff to sell. But that's that. Of course, you could always find me Nemesis_Prime, Instagram, and also whatnot. Not sure what I'll be doing, but for everybody else, have a happy, especially here in the States, have a happy Labor Day. Enjoy your time on Monday. Crack a beer, some burgers, enjoy the summer before it ends, and for all those kids that got to go back to school. So that's it for here on the podcast, season 2, episode 34, and we out. Peace.